Not long after my sister got married, she began experiencing frequent vaginal bleeding. In my previous life, I strongly urged her to go to the hospital for a checkup, and unexpectedly, it turned out she had an ectopic pregnancy, because the embryo was too large. She had no choice but to have one of her fallopian tubes removed. Unexpectedly, after the surgery, her in-laws began to look down on her, saying she was no longer a complete woman. Her mother-in-law threw a tantrum, demanding the return of the bride price, while her husband used this as an excuse to cheat with a female college student. In a state of mental breakdown, my sister came home and stabbed me to death. She screamed hysterically. An ectopic pregnancy could have naturally miscarried. It's all your fault for insisting I see a doctor now. I've lost my fallopian tubes. After rebirth, I returned to the day my sister discovered she was bleeding. This time I shook my head. I don't know either. Probably nothing serious. Chin Huan. Wash my underwear. As soon as the words finished, a bloody pair of underwear was thrown at me. I stared at the familiar surroundings in shock. I had actually been reborn. In her previous life, after a fight with her husband following marriage. The sister, in a fit of anger, moved back home. She never does any housework at home. She always leaves her worn clothes in the washing machine for me to wash. As for underwear, she believes hand washing is cleaner. So from childhood she has always insisted that I wash them for her by hand. Under my mother's brainwashing and strict discipline, I had always been submissive and never said a single no. Last life was also this day. My sister, as usual, threw her underwear at me. I knew my sister was trying to conceive, and her period had been late for a month. Theoretically, the chances of pregnancy were high. When I noticed blood on the underwear, I immediately reminded her she should go to the hospital for a checkup. With my company, my sister reluctantly went to the hospital for a checkup. Unexpectedly, the examination revealed an ectopic pregnancy. Due to her physical condition, the doctor, after a comprehensive evaluation, recommended removing one of her fallopian tubes. My sister hesitated and asked for my opinion. I sincerely said, doctors definitely wouldn't lie. It's better to follow the doctor's advice. Besides, if one side is removed, the other side is still functional. That's better than having problems later. Only then did my sister nod in agreement to undergo the surgery. Unexpectedly, after the surgery, my sister's husband and mother-in-law rushed over upon hearing the news, and their first reaction was to demand the return of the bride price. My sister's mother-in-law spat out angrily. Our family spent 100,000 yuan back then to marry a complete woman. Now that you don't have your fallopian tubes, who knows if you can still get pregnant in the future? Hurry up and return the bride price, or I'll make my son divorce you. My sister looked haggard after the surgery. My brother-in-law, who had married her for her looks in the first place, openly cheated on her with a female college student, using the excuse that he had no interest in an incomplete woman. Under the torment of her in-laws, my sister was on the verge of a mental breakdown. I brought her home and took care of her with great care, never expecting that she would blame me for the persecution she suffered at her in-laws' hands. In the end, while I was off guard, she stabbed me more than a dozen times in the abdomen. She poked at me while muttering bitterly. An ectopic pregnancy could have ended naturally. It's all your fault for insisting I see a doctor now. I've lost my fallopian tubes. If it weren't for you, how could I have ended up like this? I died with hatred in my heart, never expecting that heaven would give me a second chance. I took a deep breath and tossed my underwear aside. You wash your own underwear. My sister didn't expect me to defy her and reached out to hit me. I let out a cold laugh. Go ahead. I'll take a leave of absence tomorrow and not go to work. Don't forget, the family still depends on me for support. My sister seemed to realize that too, and could only hold her breath and take the underwear back. She paused, staring at the bloodstains. Why is there bleeding? I just took a pregnancy test yesterday, and it clearly showed I was pregnant. My sister didn't have much education, and instinctively asked me, Chin Huan, you know a lot. Do you know what could be causing this? I shook my head. I study advertising. You should ask the doctor about it. My sister was furious. then gritted her teeth and said, "Don't think you're special just because you can make money. Just wait, I'll have Mom deal with you." After saying that, she threw her underwear into the trash bin and slammed the door, leaving without looking back. In the evening, my sister came back with my mother. The moment Mom saw me, disgust flashed in her eyes. She grabbed the water cup from the shoe cabinet and hurled it at me. 3 days without a beating, and now you've gotten bold. You don't even wash your underwear. What good am I to have given birth to you? I feigned standing up. If you think I'm useless, then I'll just move out. Don't even think about it. Mom lunged forward, holding her breath, her hands gripping the tender flesh of my arms tightly. "This is something you owe me. You'll never be able to repay it in your lifetime." After saying that, a malicious glint appeared in her eyes. "If you dare move out, I'll ruin your reputation." My sister watched me being beaten, a smug expression on her face. She reached out and affectionately linked her arm with my mother's. "Mom, don't mind this bitch anymore. Let's eat first." As she spoke, the two of them placed the takeout food and 2 servings of rice on the table, completely ignoring my condition. At the table, my sister suddenly remembered the bleeding. "Mom, I had blood on my underwear today. Could there be something wrong? Should I go to the hospital for a checkup?" My mom rolled her eyes. "Why go to the hospital? Those greedy doctors will do anything for money." Old Lee next door was perfectly fine. But after a hospital checkup, they found out he had terminal cancer. He died just a few days after being admitted. I'm telling you, don't go running off to such unlucky places. You still need to have a baby. What if you catch that bad luck and give birth to a worthless child? The 2 women didn't feel at all that this remark included themselves in the insult. My sister nodded with an even more serious expression. In this lifetime, without my reminders, my sister managed to hold on for a while. But the longer an ectopic pregnancy is left untreated, the greater the harm. Sure enough, within less than a week, my sister's bleeding increased, and she actually fainted at the office. A kind colleague took her to the hospital, and my mother arrived quickly. Soon after, a call came through to my phone. "Your sister is in trouble. Get over here right now and pay the bill." By the time I arrived at the hospital, I hadn't even entered the ward when I heard my mother shouting at the top of her voice, "What do you mean ectopic pregnancy? My daughter hasn't been messing around. How could she possibly have an ectopic pregnancy?" The doctor wiped the sweat from his forehead and explained patiently, "Ectopic pregnancy has nothing to do with promiscuity. Besides, the machine shows the gestational sac implanted in the left fallopian tube." Machines don't lie, do they? My mother snorted coldly. "I think your hospital is just trying to scam money. How come I've never heard of ectopic pregnancy before? Look, can you move this gestational sac into the uterus? And maybe reduce our medical bill a bit?" Seeing that she wouldn't budge, the doctor's expression turned cold. "Her fallopian tube is already severely damaged. If we don't remove it, she might lose her life." My mother was displeased. "What kind of attitude is this? Aren't doctors supposed to serve people? I'm paying you, and you're still yelling at me here. Let me tell you, don't bully me just because I'm an old woman with no education. I've given birth twice, so I know more than you do, and you even want to cut the fallopian tubes. Without them, how can my daughter be a woman? We're not staying in the hospital anymore. This doctor is just talking nonsense. Come on, let's go home with me." With that, my mother forcefully pulled my sister off the bed. My sister clutched her stomach and said, "Mom, my stomach hurts." My mother took out some painkillers that had been sitting around for who knows how long and shoved them into her mouth. "It's just giving birth. Why are you being so dramatic?" After a moment of relief, my sister obediently got up from the hospital bed. As the 2 of them walked out and saw me standing outside, my mother frowned. "Why are you only showing up now? You useless girl. We can never count on you for anything at home. Hurry up and pay the bill." I paid the money and walked to the hospital entrance, when suddenly I caught a glimpse of a familiar figure across the park. I deliberately called out loudly, "Hey, isn't that my brother-in-law?" My sister froze. I saw my so-called brother-in-law hugging and kissing a woman in a nurse's uniform at the park entrance. My sister's face instantly flushed red. I worked so hard to give him children. And he dares to cheat on me behind my back. My mother quickly pulled her aside and immediately began to scold her. Who told you to be so useless? It's just a fight. Instead of coaxing him properly, you had to throw a tantrum and come back to your parents' house. Now look what happened. It was the first time my sister had been scolded like this, and her eyes instantly welled up with tears. My mother softened her tone. If you ask me, there isn't a single man who doesn't cheat. Just pretend you didn't see what happened today. Go back and coax him properly. Understand? Besides, you're carrying the Lin family's child in your belly now. No matter how many women are out there, as long as you give birth to a son, he'll definitely listen to you in the future. My sister seemed lost in thought. And just like that, she was brainwashed by my mother. That very day, my sister packed her things and returned to her in-laws' home. I looked at her pale lips and didn't say another word. My sister hadn't told her husband about the pregnancy, originally wanting to surprise him. Who would have thought that the pregnancy turned out to be ectopic? Under my mother's brainwashing, she only felt that an ectopic pregnancy was a disgraceful thing, so she was even more afraid to reveal it to her brother-in-law. But how could such a thing be kept hidden? Not long after my sister returned to her in-laws' home, she started bleeding again. This time was different from before. The bleeding wouldn't stop no matter what. Her husband and mother-in-law quickly rushed her to the hospital and immediately called me and my mother over. By the time we arrived, my sister had already been taken into the operating room for emergency treatment. The nurse held up the bill. Who is the family member? Come and pay the fee. My sister's mother-in-law, Lu Guifan, took the bill and glanced at it. 50,000 yuan. Why don't you just rob someone? The nurse explained. We charge according to standard rates. If you don't believe me, you can check it. Lu Guifan saw us coming and quickly shoved the bill into my mother's arms. Your daughter. You pay. My mother couldn't hold back any longer. Jiao Jiao has already married into your family. Why should I still pay? She's worked so hard to bear children for your Lin family. Has your conscience been eaten by dogs? Lu Guifan sneered. Has she even given birth yet? And she's already trying to take credit. Not a single child in sight. And now she's had an ectopic pregnancy. Where does that leave my son's dignity? I've heard that after an ectopic pregnancy, it's uncertain whether you can conceive again. If you don't pay this money, I'll have my son divorce her right away. You. My mother was so furious that she suddenly turned and slapped me across the face. What are you staring at? Hurry up and pay the money. I clutched my swollen, red face, about to speak, when the doctor came out of the operating room. Why didn't you come in for surgery right after the diagnosis? Now the gestational sac has enlarged, and both fallopian tubes are affected. We have no choice but to remove both, or we can't save the patient's life. Hearing this, my mother seemed as if the sky had fallen. She quickly pulled out the previous diagnosis report. How is that possible? Didn't the doctor say last time that only one needed to be removed? She suddenly seemed to realize something. I know now this heartless black market hospital must be trying to remove my daughter's healthy tube and sell it to someone else. Right. The doctor was stunned by her words and for a moment didn't know how to react. Lu Guifan quickly grabbed the doctor's arm. Doctor. If this fallopian tube is removed, can I still get pregnant? Theoretically, natural conception isn't possible, but it can be achieved through artificial. Before the doctor could finish, Lu Guifan's voice rose sharply. Fine. 10,000 yuan and I end up with a bird that can't lay eggs. She grabbed my mother's hair. Give me back the money. Return the 100,000 yuan betrothal gift. My mother avoided eye contact, feeling somewhat guilty. Jiao Jiao has already married into your family. How could we possibly return it? I'm telling you, there's no money to give. But I'll give you my life if you want it. Lu Guifan, of course, wouldn't let her off. She slapped her across the face. Not returning the money. Huh, don't want your life. Son, come over here. My brother-in-law, Lin Chao, rushed over in a swift stride and stood firmly behind his mother. Lin Chao, over 180 centimeters tall, was as sturdy and imposing as a bull. My mother's confidence suddenly wavered. Seeing me, she regained that commanding air. Qin Huan, what are you standing there for? Quickly transfer the money to them. I had already heard what I wanted to know, and no longer had any reservations. Money? I don't have a single cent left. My mother widened her eyes in disbelief. What happened to your year-end bonus? The company just gave you 200,000. What did you spend it all on? Lin Chao sneered from the side. At this age and still unmarried. Did you spend it all on keeping a young lover? My mother snorted through her nose. As if this wretched girl is worthy. If she dares to date. My mother abruptly stopped speaking. But I recall back in my university days. When I was in the prime of my youth. Though I wasn't particularly good looking. I still had fairly regular features. I started my first relationship not long after entering university. I wasn't planning to tell my mom about it. But she accidentally saw my phone's top screen. That night, she went crazy at home. Smashing everything she could. And my phone was shattered into pieces by her. I finally saved up enough money to buy a new phone and got a new SIM card. After sending a message to my boyfriend to let him know, he was silent for a moment and then said, "Let's break up." After that, he blocked me. I was heartbroken by the sudden breakup and felt dazed for a long time. So, my ex-boyfriend broke up with me back then because of you. My mother snorted coldly. So what if I am? A lowly girl like you deserves to be in love. Let me tell you, until this debt is paid off, you're not allowed to marry anyone for the rest of your life. I instantly felt a chill run through my entire body. After a moment, I forced a smile. Anyway, I don't have any money. If you don't believe me, go check at the bank. My mother's face twisted with rage. Think you've grown wings? Huh? Don't you believe I interrupted her. Do whatever you want. 8. The next day, I went to work as usual. I had just sat down at my desk when my mother barged in. She slapped me across the face and said, "Qin Huan, you beast. Your sister is in the hospital. And you have the nerve to come to work. She's lost her job. And as her sister, you won't even cover her medical expenses. Has your conscience been eaten by dogs?" As soon as my mother finished speaking, whispers broke out around me. She held her head high like a victorious rooster. Just like when I was in college. Due to family and personality reasons, I have been studying hard since childhood. I fought my way through with my grades. In the college entrance exam, I scored 685 points and was successfully admitted to Peking University. Meanwhile, under my mother's indulgence, my sister had no interest in studying at all. She scored less than 200 points in the college entrance exam and couldn't even get into a local vocational college. After learning that I was admitted to Peking University, my mother and sister prepared a big feast for me. As soon as I took the first bite, they revealed their true intentions. Give your spot at Peking University to Jiaojiao. You can retake the exam next year with your grades. You'll definitely get in. I found it both amusing and ironic. Times have changed. It's not as easy to take my place at university as it used to be, but my mother and sister thought I was unwilling. So they snatched the bowl and chopsticks from my hands and locked me out on the balcony to endure a night of cold wind. When the admission letter from Peking University arrived, they hid it from me without a word. On the day of enrollment, the two of them bought plane tickets and headed straight for Beijing. However, nowadays, university registration doesn't require an admission letter at all. You can simply use facial recognition. My sister's face couldn't be recognized. And my mother dragged her to the registration office, throwing a tantrum. The school didn't listen to their nonsense at all and directly kicked them out. Knowing that I successfully got into Peking University, my sister was both bitter and jealous. The two of them would protest with banners at the school gate every day. The school also subtly hinted that I should resolve this matter as soon as possible. In the end, with no other choice, I had to make an agreement with them. From then on, not only would I not take a single cent from the family for my education, but I would also have to pay them 2,000 yuan each month as compensation for their losses. And so, starting from my freshman year, I worked various jobs everywhere, letting them suck me dry. After graduation, under their pressure, I had to give up my high-paying job in the capital city and return to my hometown to work for a monthly salary of 6,000 yuan. Every month. As soon as my salary was deposited, they would transfer it away. I don't have a single penny. So it's simply impossible for me to live independently. That's how they've controlled me for nearly half my life. But after dying once in my previous life, there's nothing left for me to fear. At worst, it'll be a fight to the death. Don't you know whether I have money or not? All my wages over the years have been transferred away by you. I don't have a single penny now. So throwing a tantrum here is useless. At that moment, a woman walked out of the CEO's office. She is the owner of our company. What's all the commotion about so early in the morning? My mom seemed to have found her anchor, opening her mouth to fabricate a story. Are you Qin Huan's boss? That ungrateful girl, after working for so many years, hasn't brought a single penny home. She lives well and eats well outside. Not even visiting her sister when she's sick. After saying that, she collapsed onto the ground, pounding her chest. What kind of karma have I accumulated to give birth to such a vengeful creature? The boss turned to me, frowning. Qin Huan, is what your mother said true? My mother didn't even give me a chance to speak. Manager, if it weren't for our real difficulties at home, do you think I'd want to make such a scene? Who wants to lose face these days? I'm truly out of options. My eldest daughter is still in the hospital, waiting for money to save her life. How about this? Let her give us 200,000 first. And I won't bother you at work. Unexpectedly, the boss didn't budge. She fixed me with a sharp gaze. Qin Huan, you're fired. Ah. My mother was stunned. She quickly grabbed the boss's leg. Boss, why are you firing her? I don't mean anything else. I'll leave as soon as I get the money. Qin Huan has worked in your company for so many years. Even if she hasn't made great contributions, she's put in hard work. Right. Oh, that's not what I mean. My daughter is actually quite good though not very smart. She's honest. The boss kicked my mother away. Our company doesn't hire problematic employees. I don't care about your family matters. But causing a scene at the company is your problem. The company is not an entertainment venue. We can't let you put on a show here. She glanced at me. Pack your things and get out. After saying that, she went straight back to her office. I lowered my head to gather my things. My mom panicked. What are you gathering? Hurry up and go beg the boss for mercy. A male colleague standing nearby stepped forward. Qin Huan, hurry up. The boss said if you don't leave soon, he'll call security. And you, stop nagging here. Perhaps the colleague's tone was too harsh. So my mom hesitated and dared not speak further. When I got home, my mom sat on the sofa, sighing heavily. After a while, she slapped her thigh. If this company doesn't work out, we'll find another one. Hurry up and send out your resume. If you don't start work tomorrow, I'll beat you to death. You useless troublemaker. I sneered and pulled out my phone, opening Douyin. Just watch for yourself. I saw that a video of my mom making a scene at the company had been uploaded online, and it was now trending. The comments below are a mixed bag, with some criticizing me. It's truly tragic to have raised such an ungrateful child. I feel sorry for her mother and sister. What kind of person is she? I'm her colleague. She hardly ever speaks at the office. But she got promoted twice in a year. Who knows if there's something shady going on behind the scenes? Some people even criticized the boss. But this boss is too heartless. Just firing her like that. From the boss's perspective, there's nothing wrong at all. If I were the boss, I wouldn't hire an employee like her either. Exactly. What if her family goes crazy and attacks her at the company? Then I'd have to pay compensation too. Right. I agree with the comment above. My mother was dumbfounded. How could this happen? I called the neighboring company right in front of her. Boss Shang, didn't you say you wanted to poach me before? Before I could finish speaking, he immediately replied, I'm sorry, Xiao Qin, but your family situation is just too complicated. As a businessman, I hope you can understand my difficulties. She hung up without waiting for my response. I shrugged. Now you've completely ruined me. Are you satisfied? My mom finally, albeit reluctantly, shut her noisy mouth this time. But my mom wasn't ready to give up. These past 2 days, she kept me as I sent out resumes. But without exception, all of them disappeared like stones dropped into the sea, even for a cleaning position. They specifically said they didn't want me. In the end, she finally saw the reality and reluctantly found herself a dishwashing job. But ever since I started sending money home, she never went to work again. She washed dishes for 2 days. And her whole body ached from the waist down. Finally, I went to the boss and made a scene, got 2 days' wages, and then quit. The hospital was pressing hard, calling every day to demand payment. And Qin Jiaojiao's mother-in-law even hired thugs to come to the house, smashing a piece of furniture for each day the payment was delayed. My mother was tormented to the point of developing alopecia areata. Finally, I had no choice but to remember her useless younger brother. I don't know what method she used, but she actually got her brother to cough up 100,050 yuan. 000 for Qin Jiaojiao's mother-in-law, and the rest paid for the medical expenses. When Qin Jiaojiao was discharged from the hospital, my mother unusually didn't ask me to go with her. She had been out all day, and in the end, she came back alone. Why hasn't my sister come back? My mother gave me a disdainful glance. Are you really hoping your sister has a bad life? She and her husband have reconciled. Whatever thoughts you have, keep them to yourself. I didn't say anything more and went straight back to my room. To my surprise, the next day, my sister and brother-in-law actually came to visit. 2 people were carrying a pile of vegetables, especially Lin Chao, who smiled at me with a sly expression, his slender eyes scanning me up and down. I silently opened the automatic alarm software, secretly raising my guard. My sister and mother were cooking in the kitchen. Soon, the table was filled with dishes. My sister forced a smile on her face. Qin, Huan, eat more. I lowered my head and took a bite. Neither of them had ever cooked a single dish before, and they couldn't even tell salt from sugar. The sweet and sour pork ribs were both salty and sour. I put down my chopsticks. If you have something to say, just say it directly. My mother and Qin Jiaojiao exchanged a glance, and Qin Jiaojiao said, if it weren't for you, I wouldn't have lost my fertility. I interrupted her. What do you mean it's because of me? Didn't I tell you to see a doctor back then? The doctor recommended surgery, but you didn't listen to the medical advice. You brought this on yourselves. Qin Jiaojiao's face instantly flushed red. What does an uneducated person like me know? As a top graduate from Peking University, didn't you know you should have persuaded me? I think you're just jealous of how well I'm doing and deliberately trying to harm me, aren't you? As she spoke, she picked up the bowl in her hand and was about to throw it. Lin Chao quickly grabbed her wrist. Let's get back to the main issue. Qin Huan forced herself to swallow her anger, then reluctantly said, if it weren't for you, I wouldn't have ended up like this. You have to compensate me. I've already discussed it with Brother Chao. Since we can't have children in this life, and since you're my sister, I'll give you the chance to go have a child with him. The Lin family can't be without an heir. If the first child isn't a boy, you'll have to have another one. A wave of nausea washed over me instantly. Are you all crazy? My sister crossed her arms, her eyes filled with resentment and jealousy. Come on. You keep saying you can't, but after being a nun for so long, I don't believe you don't want a man. How many men out there have the height of our super brother? Being able to sleep with him is your fortune, and pretend to be a chaste maiden here. I suddenly stood up and flipped the table over. Get out. As soon as the words left my mouth, my head suddenly spun. I collapsed limply onto the ground. Qin Jiaojiao kicked me hard. Mom's still the smart one, knowing to drug her. My mother said proudly. I knew that slut wasn't honest. After saying that, the 2 of them grabbed me on from the left, one from the right, and dragged me into the bedroom. Lin Chao adjusted his pants and followed me inside. After my mom and Qin Jiaojiao left, he suddenly lunged at me. As I struggled, he grabbed my neck. I was choked almost to the point of suffocation. I opened my mouth and screamed with all my strength. Xiao Qiu. Call the police for me. The alarm call went through immediately. Lin Chao, panicking, tried to hang up the phone, but the automatic alarm function didn't allow manual disconnection. The police on the other end said hello, hello, and Lin Chao, covering my mouth, shouted in a trembling voice, "It's nothing, nothing. I pressed the wrong button." But the smart robot ball didn't give him that chance at all. Its mechanical voice playing on a loop. "Uncle Police. Save my master. The address is XXXX. Lin Chao quickly got off me. He ran to the living room, pinned Qin Jiao to the ground, and started beating her. "Are you trying to fucking kill me?" After finishing, he quickly put on his clothes and ran out without looking back. Qin Jiao hurriedly ran in to check. Hearing the alarm, her face turned pale. "Mom, what should we do?" The police arrived at the scene quickly. My mom and my sister blocked the door, one on each side. "What's going on here? Who called the police?" My mother forced an awkward laugh. The two girls had a disagreement, and they called the police for no reason. "It's nothing serious." My sister smoothed her disheveled hair. Yes. My sister was being childish and pressed the button carelessly. "We've wasted your time. But everything's fine now. Officers, you should head back." However, the female officer handling the case glanced sharply at the living room. Seeing the messy floor, even with a few traces of blood, she said sternly, "Making a false police report can land you in jail. Whoever called must come with me to the station." My mother collapsed, her body limp. The female officer pushed her aside and rushed into the house with her colleague. After searching, they quickly reached my room. Seeing me unconscious, the other two officers stepped forward and restrained my mother and Qin Jiao. "Come on. Let's go to the station and talk." I was taken by the police to undergo a forensic medical examination. When I returned to the police station, my mother and sister had already been handcuffed. Seeing that I was unharmed, their eyes lit up instantly. "You little brat. I knew you were just pretending. Look, you're perfectly fine. Nothing happened. Hurry up and tell the police clearly. Let us go quickly." The police officer frowned. "Quiet. Do you have anything to say?" I clutched my neck and coughed twice. "They want to harm may have proof." As I spoke, I pulled out the surveillance video from my hand. They were stunned. Never in their wildest dreams had they thought I'd install cameras at home. But in this second life, I naturally had to make thorough preparations. Qin Jiao shouted, "This is It doesn't count as evidence." The police were completely fed up. "Surveillance in your own home isn't it as real and valid evidence?" I handed over the surveillance footage from the living room, kitchen, and bedroom. "All the evidence is clear, leaving no room for defense." Soon, Lin Chao was also arrested. Her mother followed, wailing and crying all the way. The moment she saw my mother and sister, she instantly understood everything. She lunged forward. "You two evil women. It's all your fault for ruining my son. If anything happens to my son, I'll never let you off." The police quickly grabbed her, but it was already too late. My mother and sister had deep scratches and blood marks on their faces. The police asked, "Were you aware of what your son did?" She protested angrily. "It must be a misunderstanding. This woman was just willing. She couldn't blackmail him, so she called the police. It's a classic scam." The police understood. "Handcuff her too." So the four of them were detained with a splash. Afterward, I went to consult a lawyer. Lin Chao's attempted rape, along with the others' assistance in the crime, would likely result in a sentence of less than 3 years in prison. After finishing all of this, I returned to my former company. The moment others saw me, they exclaimed, "Sister Juan is back." Some eager kids started the applause. And in an instant, thunderous applause filled the office. The boss came out of her office and asked, "Welcome back. What do you want to do next?" I said, "Sister, I want to switch tracks." Yes, I had anticipated that my mom would come to the company to make a scene. So I had already explained the situation to the boss in advance. I accompanied her in founding this company from the very beginning, making me one of the founding members and a trusted confidant of the boss. She didn't want me to leave, so she discussed with me a plan for a fake layoff. She was in charge of firing me, while my colleagues were responsible for secretly filming and uploading videos online to build momentum, all in order to completely cut off my mother's path of leeching off me. I had originally planned how to break away from my biological family, but unexpectedly I didn't even have to go that far. These lawless individuals basically handed themselves in. Gathering my thoughts, I began my new track plan. I wrote a long script, presenting evidence of the abuse I suffered at home over all these years. One by one, the video took a full 3 hours to film. I had thought I had already seen through it all, feeling no inner turmoil, but the moment I finished speaking, I couldn't help but tear up. Finally, I spoke word by word into the camera. I know there must be countless girls like me, but I want to say, please don't give up. You must save yourself again and again. The video went viral online immediately, and my account gained 5 million followers overnight. Shortly after, I posted a live streaming announcement for product promotion. Those who had come for the gossip instantly lost interest. Eating your own blood-soaked bun. How's that for a move? So, playing the victim was just a sales tactic after all. I'm out of here. Despite their comments. On the night of my live stream, over 100,000 viewers flooded into the room, and the popularity instantly soared to the top of the live broadcast rankings. Looking at the barrage of comments criticizing me, I took out the court verdict. Everything I said in the video is completely true. My purpose is not to play the victim, but to use the video to encourage more people to break free from their struggles. As for live streaming sales, this is just a new attempt by our company. As the head of the new live streaming department, it is my responsibility to support the live streaming room. Moreover, I guarantee that I won't engage in unethical promotions. I will not sell products from outside the company. After that, I presented the company's founding documents and various patent certificates for the products. Under my guidance, the barrage gradually returned to reason. This brand has been a domestic product for decades. My mom used to love buying it when I was a kid. I heard the company went bankrupt later, but I never expected it to still be around. I remember the founder is a veteran. Right. There's also serving the people written under the company logo. It is said that this company was originally going bankrupt, but later the boss's daughter managed to keep it afloat. This price, 79 yuan for 3 bottles of body wash, and they're 1 L each. Alright. With that, I'm going to place an order. After that, I continued to explain while processing orders. After broadcasting for 5 hours, sales exceeded 30 million. The boss was overjoyed and immediately gave every employee in the company a bonus of 10,000 yuan. From then on, I built up the company's reputation. Over the past 3 years, I have been promoted and received salary increases, and soon bought my first large flat with full payment. This year, my sisters were also released from prison. The first thing they did after getting out was to come looking for money from me, but I had already moved away. They finally managed to find out where I lived. But the security guards had already recognized the 2 of them and drove them away as soon as they arrived. Unwilling to give up, they thought of going live on streaming, but the internet has a memory. As soon as the 2 went online, they were met with a barrage of criticism. Eventually, someone reported them to the platform, which promptly banned their IP addresses. The reputation of Lin Chao's family was also tarnished. On one hand, they couldn't bear to lose my sister, who served as a free nanny, and on the other, they contacted matchmakers to find a new wife for Lin Chao. However, upon hearing that he had served time in prison and was widely condemned online, no matchmaker was willing to help Lin Chao find a partner. Filled with resentment, Lin Chao turned to heavy drinking and domestic violence. My sister was beaten and hospitalized several times. In the most severe incident, her uterus was severely injured, causing internal bleeding. By the time she was taken to the hospital, it was too late, and the entire uterus had to be removed. This time, she finally lost completely the qualification to be a woman that she had always taken pride in. Her sister had a mental breakdown and, after being discharged from the hospital, returned to Lin Chao's home. She put a massive amount of sleeping pills in the food, turned on the gas, and slept through the night. The entire family died from gas poisoning. The most ironic part is that because Lin Chao's family got into trouble, relatives and friends all distanced themselves, dead for half a month and no one noticed at all. It wasn't until the corpse's fluid seeped through the ceiling to the floor below that the downstairs neighbors called the police and discovered they had died. My mom lost her eldest daughter, so she can only resort to the same old trick, blocking me every day downstairs at the company. Unexpectedly, a drunk driver happened to pass by and knocked her flying 5 miles away. She died before she could even reach the hospital. I went home to clean up the mess, sold the house, and donated all the 1 million yuan from the sale to girls in mountainous areas. From now on, I will be free from all constraints, with a clear path ahead. Afterward, when I was 35, I was already married. My husband was my first love from college. After we broke up, he never dated again. Because of his past cowardice, he felt he owed me. And he had been quietly looking after me all these years. It wasn't until later, when a new intern at the company openly pursued me, that he finally couldn't hold back and confessed his feelings to me. We dated for 3 years, got married naturally. And the following year after our marriage, I gave birth to a daughter. Now the daughter is 5 years old. I never expected an uninvited guest to show up on my daughter's 5th birthday. He is the father I have never met. His face was incredibly aged. The moment he saw me, he bowed his head deeply, whether out of guilt or something else. I couldn't tell. He opened his mouth and said, "I'm going to die soon. It's late-stage cancer, and it has already metastasized." He pushed a card toward me. "This is all the savings I've accumulated over the years. There's 100,000 yuan in it. Although it's nothing to you, it's still a token of my sincerity. I haven't taken this card." And I asked, "Since you're still alive, why did you abandon me all these years? You haven't even come to see me once." He opened his mouth and then recounted a story from the past. He and my mother fell in love freely and got married quickly. But unexpectedly, my mother turned out to be someone who excessively supported her brother, secretly giving money to his family for many years. After the birth of my eldest daughter, although he didn't mind whether the child was a boy or a girl, however, under the influence of her brother's brainwashing, my mother always felt that having a daughter was a loss of face. Fearing that she would have no one to rely on in her old age, she doubled her efforts to be good to her brother's family while preparing for another pregnancy. She even secretly gave the family car to her brother to drive. When my dad couldn't bear it anymore and was about to ask her for a divorce, my mom got pregnant again. This time, my mom prayed to gods and Buddhas just to have a boy. Later, she even spent a huge sum of 30,000 yuan to have my brother invite a shaman to tell her fortune. The shaman calculated a specific time, saying that a child born at that time would definitely be a boy. I never expected my mother's labor to start prematurely. She endured the abdominal pain and refused to go to the hospital. In the end, she held on for 3 full days, and then collapsed into shock. After being taken to the hospital, she had to undergo a cesarean section. My life was saved. But my mother's uterus had to be removed. After losing her uterus, my mother became deeply depressed. My father couldn't stand her constant moodiness and eventually left her for another woman. It wasn't until I was about to get the marriage certificate with that woman that I remembered my mother. The two of them got their divorce certificate, leaving the house to my mother, and he didn't take any of the children with him. After hearing this, I finally understood why my mother had hated me all these years. But none of it matters anymore. I asked, "You've given the money to me, but what about your current wife and children?" He paused, then said, "I've fed and housed them all these years. I've never treated them poorly. Besides, that child isn't even my biological son. He really is as selfish as ever. Giving money isn't out of sympathy for what I've been through all these years, but to ease his own guilt before he dies." I suppressed the sarcasm in my heart. "All right, I'll take the money. You can go now." After he left, I got up and walked over to a table in the corner. When the woman saw me, she quickly wiped her eyes. I placed the card in front of her. "Here's the money for you. I don't need it. She took the card with both hands. "Thank you. I thank you on behalf of my child." I said. "It's fine. It was rightfully yours to begin with. Make sure to send him off properly. And don't come looking for me again unless it's necessary. I never had a father. And I don't need one now."